Hi guys, welcome to the new series on JavaScript and ReactJS. Okay, so in this particular series, we will actually introduce ourselves to a very important and very nice interface, which is known as a JavaScript interface. Okay, and a JavaScript ecosystem. Okay, so JavaScript is basically a programming language which is very much popular amongst the browsers. It is very much popular amongst a lot of servers as well. Okay, so JavaScript is a very important skill and it's a very important language to learn because most of the internet, okay, most of the internet that we see today, most of the things that we do today is basically depends on the JavaScript and the frameworks which are developed on JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is basically a very important and a very intuitive language. How is it intuitive is, let's say if you have, we all know that, okay, there's the internet, okay, and inside the internet there are many HTML pages. Okay, so we basically come across a lot of HTML pages like this. Okay, so all of those pages have some of the information. Okay, let's say you put in a login form or some other forms. Okay, and as soon as you hit submit, okay, the information that you've entered in the input field or inside the form field have to go back to the database server. Okay, so let's say if you do a login, okay, your login information, your username, password, uh, you know your basic profile information like name, email, other sort, and whatever information that you put in usually goes inside the servers like this. Okay, so the interaction from the internet web page to the database is basically mostly handled by this technology of JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript is basically a scripting language which is understood by browsers, okay, which is understood by databases, okay, and it is very fast, lightweight, and you can do a lot of information transferring, information processing using this particular library, okay, and a programming language. Okay, so the syntax of JavaScript is fairly simple and it's fairly straightforward, and you can integrate that with as I mentioned, with both the front end and the database server. Okay, so what is JavaScript? So JavaScript is basically a programming language which is initially designed to interact with elements of web pages. Okay, so whatever information that you put over a form, or be it if you do a login information, or you post a picture, or whatever information that you do and interact with the front end technology is handled by the JavaScript technology. Okay, so JavaScript allows you to interact with the web pages. It typically being used along with HTML and CSS to enhance the web page functionality, such as validating forms, creating interactive maps, displaying animating charts. So all of that is basically handled by a JavaScript ecosystem. Okay, so, before we go ahead and start implementing the JavaScript on our system, so one thing that you should be familiar with is the difference between a client side and a server side JavaScript. Okay, so as I mentioned, whenever we use a JavaScript on a web page, it is executed in the web browsers. Okay, so I have mentioned in the few minutes back that, okay, this is a database. Okay, and this is a web page. Okay, and whatever information that you modify or use over this particular web page, which is in your computer. Okay, so you have a computer like this, and inside the computer you have a web page built out. Okay, so whatever information that you put over the web page is being extracted by the JavaScript. Okay, so all of that is being extracted by JavaScript, and then it is placed to the database. Okay, so the client side JavaScript is basically the JavaScript which is used to pull out the information from the form pages, from the buttons, from the chatbots, from uploading the images and everything is being captured and done by the client side JavaScript. Okay, so the one that you see over the browser is basically the client side JavaScript, and it can run on the web browsers. Okay, the next thing that you see is like JavaScript can run both web browsers and server. Okay, so it's like the other side of it is the JavaScript that you basically implement over the database side. Okay, that is basically the server side JavaScript. Okay, it so previously the JavaScript was just restricted to the client side, and now in the new age, the JavaScript is now even more capable, and you can just put the JavaScript element inside the server side scripting, and then you can process the data, you can do all of the calculation in it, and you can actually deploy a JavaScript application over a middleware server. Okay, which will do all of the computation, and it will interact with the database. It can make the connections to the database, it can make the connections to any of the server. So all of that can also be done in the JavaScript side of things. Perfect. So let's elaborate a bit more on the client-side JavaScript. So client-side JavaScript is the most common form of language, okay? Because in this particular series, we will be talking more on the client-side JavaScript, okay? So client-side JavaScript is most common form of language, and the script is used and it's referenced by the HTML elements, okay? HTML documents, okay? So whenever you render any kind of information over the browser, so let's say if there's a full-fledged browser, and inside the browser you have a input field. Okay, so input field is being rendered as a document. Okay, document. So all of this is being rendered as a document, and then JavaScript basically refer to this particular document with a unique ID, and then it basically fetch the information whatever is placed inside this particular document. Okay, it means that the web page need not to be static, but it can include the programs and can interact with the user and control the browser and dynamically create HTML content as well. Okay, since JavaScript runs over the browser, it can add the HTML tag, it can add the styles, it can add a lot of information to the browser, and it can interact and control that what is the content to be displayed over the browser dynamically. Okay, so you must have seen that, okay, whenever you click some kind of button and then your page is redirected to some other page, all of that information can be controlled using a JavaScript operation. Okay, again, the JavaScript is a client-side mechanism that provides many advantages over traditional CGI server-based scripts. So there are like many server-based scripts as well. So for example, you must be using JavaScript to check if the user has entered the correct email address or not. So okay, so you must have got this error message that, okay, if you type your phone number and you miss one of the digit, you must get that phone number is invalid before even submitting the button, right? So all of that is, all of the validations that you can see is being done using a JavaScript operation. So okay, so all of this basically comes with a lot of use cases, and it comes with a lot of possibilities. So catering all of the possibilities basically our main intent, and how we can handle all of the policy, all of the capability of the browser, and understanding what information to put in and when to put in and how to extract the information is basically the main role of ideally scripting in JavaScript. Okay, another thing that we're going to talk about later in this particular series would be ReactJS. Okay, so ReactJS is a JavaScript library, and it basically allows us to even interact with the browser even faster and in a very efficient way. So it basically provides a new set of architecture, so that the traditional JavaScript can be rendered even faster, and even heavy web pages can be loaded in the span of few seconds. Okay, perfect. So this is all for this particular video. I see you in the next video, wherein we deep dive even towards the concept, and then we implement some of the concepts on our coding services. Thank you and have a nice day. Hi guys, welcome to another video on JavaScript. So in the previous video we have talked about the basics of what is JavaScript. Okay, now in this particular video we will be talking even more about what all things can we do in the JavaScript side of things, and how can we actually try to engage ourselves even more, and how can we actually uh, interact with the browser. Okay, so for that we will start with the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so Visual Studio Code is basically a very nice I would say application which gives us a lot of capabilities on auto completing of code, and how can we actually uh, you know add more and more files to it, see how the files are behaving, do some kind of debugging over the JavaScript files. So all of that capability is being provided by Visual Studio Code IDE. Okay, cool. So as you can see, this is basically uh, you know uh, a core HTML page with a doc type of HTML tag as starting and ending, some kind of head tag, body tag. So all of that is basically uh, a segment of, I would say, yeah. So all of those segments is basically a core HTML segment. Okay. Now the new segment that we see over here is what is basically a JavaScript segment. Okay, so JS test. Let's make a new title over JS test. And here, as you can see, we have a two heading. Okay, demo JavaScript in the head, and here we have a paragraph tag with the ID as a demo. Okay, so we can make an attribute ID, or anything to pick the data from. Okay, and then we basically create a button, okay, which is a type as button, and on click. So this is basically an HTML attribute. On whenever we click on this particular button, it calls my function. Okay, so let's see what my function is. Okay, so let's load just this JavaScript inside the body. Okay, so here we create a function. Okay, we will know more about, like, okay, what are the functions and what are other things later. But for now, this is a function is basically a content of code. Okay, wherein you can just put all of the all of the code that you want to reuse or recall again and again. Okay, so you can consider function is like accelerating the car. Okay, so we have made the function that, okay, accelerate the car, and then you call that function again and again just to increase that particular value. Okay, so this is basically my function. And then there's a document get element by ID. Okay, so since this is the ID, okay, so here we are basically calling get element by ID, and then we place the name of the ID demo. Okay, and then inner HTML paragraph changed. Okay, so I just hit save to it. I go where this particular document is located. So I'll just go inside this here. Yep. So open with Google Chrome. So here, as you can see, this is an H2 tag. This is a paragraph tag. And then as soon as I hit try it, as you can see, the paragraph has changed. Okay. Perfect. So another thing that we can do is we can modify or get what is inside an input tag. Okay, so here, instead of writing it over I would say the notebook, I will write the contents over here just to check a bit more. Okay, so because we don't want to go on back and forth and go on and refreshing a lot of things. So just to see that, okay, browser is able to run the JavaScript code. Okay, a separate code can be done using a JavaScript. So here I create a input field with type as text. Okay, and I would say, let's say, an ID as input ID. Okay, and yeah, that's it. Okay, I'll just close this particular input button. I go back, I hit refresh this time, and now I have an input field wherein I can just simply put whatever I want to. Okay, so here I'll just hit document dot get element by ID. Okay, and then I will place the ID name as what was the name, input ID. Okay, dot uh, dot okay, let's just run this. Okay, so here as you can see, it it says that what is basically inside it. Okay, and then if I run this again and call inner HTML equal to some value, I hit run to it, and here as you can see, we have basically placed this particular site. Okay, cool. So uh, cool. So here if I just type board infinity, okay, and from here I just call input as this dot value. So here as you can see, we have captured what is written inside the input field. Okay, and now here if I set value as a new value, so here as you can see, the value which is written on inside the input field has been changed. Okay, so here as you can see, this is running a core JavaScript function over it. So we can also define a function, and you know we just okay, so let's define a function inside the script only. It would be better. So here as you can see, I just let's define a variable. Okay, and here the variable is where let's say values. Okay, and I put a changed value. Okay, and this is basically a small variable that I've been putting in, and here I put the input ID, the ID from the input. Okay, and then I just hit as value, and I want to put the value of uh, you know the function that I've specified over here. Okay, perfect. Now I just hit refresh. I put whatever I want to, but as soon as I hit try it, the value has been changed. Okay, so it is able to interact from the HTML file. Okay, another way to put it is inside this particular folder or wherever you want to, we just create a new file called script.js. Okay, so .js is basically the extension that we use for the JavaScript files. I'll just copy the whole function, so you don't have to put any kind of hash include or anything or any kind of import statement, because since it is running in browser, so most of the imports are already done in by the browser only. Okay, so I just call this, and inside the body, I'll just import this script, and then source is script.js. Okay, and I just cross the script, and that's it. Okay, just to have a cleaner, I just want to put the clean HTML inside this particular file, and I want all of the JavaScript functions to be happening inside the script.js function. Okay, I'll just hit refresh. Again, I put whatever I want to, but as soon as I hit the button, the value has been changed. So this particular segment is basically picking up the value from the script.js function. Okay, so this is a cleaner way to put and place the JavaScript I would say values. Okay, so from the next time onwards, we will be working on the script.js side of things, and whatever we want to achieve from it, we will be implementing here only. Okay, perfect. Cool. So this is all for this video. In the next video, we will know a bit more about the JavaScript functions. We'll know about the basics and what all things can we do. And yeah, I think this is it. And see you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day. Hi guys, welcome to another video. So in the previous video, what we did was we saw that okay, how can JavaScript run on the browser, and what are the different set of things that we are capable of doing whenever we are talking about the JavaScript side of things. Okay, now let's make the fundamentals a bit strong and understand that okay, what are the different set of variables, constants, data types, and all of that in JavaScript, and let's use those JavaScript variable constants and everything in the way that we want to. Okay, so sometimes what happens is you can we need to have a data in in a string format. So string means a text format. Okay, like hello, or other set of things. Okay, the next thing that we're going to talk about is, like, there are other set of data types as well, just like a number. Okay, you can just have a increment counter, like 2 3 4 5, or you can increase or decrease that kind of number. Okay, so all of that comes under the variables. And what is a variable? Okay, so variable is a label that references a value, like a number or a string. Okay, so you have a memory block, and inside that particular block you can have a value. Okay, so you can keep some of the value, you can change some of the value. So all of that is basically a variable whose value is not fixed. Okay, you can keep it as a fixed value, but you can also change it. Okay, so that is basically a variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a variable and see that how things are working around it. Okay, so there are like two ways through which we can initialize a variable. One is where. Okay, and in JavaScript you don't have to specify the data type. Okay, so what kind of value will that particular variable will hold? Okay, so this is where means a variable. Okay, the another way to do it is let. Okay, so I'll just create a variable values with the name values, and it's a let type variable, and you put a value as changed value. Okay, so you just save it, go back to the browser, we refresh it, and whatever I put this time, hit a try, and this is also working in the same way. Okay, so this is basically a variable which can store a value like this. Okay, it can also store a value like 555. Okay, this is a number, we haven't specified any kind of string to it, right? I just hit a refresh, put a value, and then it is changed to a number. Okay, and another way to do it is, instead of having a text, we can just specify a number to it. Okay, so next time whenever you hit a refresh, you have to put some kind of number, because if you try to put a text, it won't allow you to put a text. Okay, so you can just put 1 2 3 4, you can increase or decrease it like this, and as soon as you hit try it, it is again a number with a value of 555. Cool, perfect. So the next thing that we're going to talk about would be constants. Okay, a constant holds a value that does not change. Okay, to declare a constant you have to use const keyword, and by defining the constant you have to initialize with a value. Okay, so you cannot just define a constant in a normal way. Okay, so you have to just specify a const keyword. Okay, so here is script. So basically the value of constant usually comes in when we are talking about the server side JavaScript. Okay, so here if you do a const and then you put the name of the constant, so be it a new constant. Okay, and then you equate this with a value. Okay, so let's say 134. Okay, so this is a new const value, and then it will behave in the same way when we use it like this, but you cannot change the value of const. Okay, so if you try it, it is 134, and now if I try to do new const equal to 345. Okay, and hit a refresh to it and do a console log. Okay, so console log means printing the value that you have over the console. Okay, so I'm just printing a new const. Okay, and hit a refresh, hit a try it, and as you can see, it throws an error that assignment to a constant variable. You cannot change the value of a constant. Okay, so this usually comes up when you want to hold the passwords, you want to hold some specialized information that you want to use and reuse again and again. So that kind of things are basically placed inside the constant. Okay, so there are multiple type of data types. So it's like you can have an undefined data type, you can have a number, a string type, a boolean type. A boolean means a true false. Okay, So whenever we basically pick a value from a radio button, okay. So let's try to implement that as well, okay. So inside this, let's create a radio button, input type radio, okay, and ID is a Boolean ID, okay, Boolean ID, cool. And then I just go here, hit a refresh, and here as you can see, I can just select and unselect this. Let's create it as a checkbox, okay, and here I can select this or I can unselect this, okay. Now if you want to pick the value, okay, so inside the try it function, inside this particular side, uh, okay, inside this particular side, if you want to put like, okay, what is the value, so Boolean ID, so here if I just do a console log to it, okay, as soon as we call this particular function, let's do a console log on what this particular value is, okay, Boolean ID, and then dot value, okay, and then we put let's actually create a new paragraph and see that, okay, how the value is changing, okay. So get element by id this dot inner html is equal to this, and let's create a changed id, okay, and let's print it in the heading 3, okay, and we will place a id called changed, okay, perfect. And let's put a value here, let's say the initial is false, okay. Now let's hit this, okay, I need to refresh this, okay, so it is false. I just hit a checkbox, hit to try it, okay, it's another error, we haven't changed that, yep. On, okay, try it, okay, see the value, it is being printing over the console, and the value have been changed to on, okay. And same way, the on and off means a Boolean function, okay. So this is basically a Boolean type of operation, perfect. So okay, so let's understand a new concept and let's implement that in another video, okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk about are operators, okay. So there can be instances wherein you need to add some of the values, you need to subtract some of the values, and you need to do some kind of multiplication, that okay, these are the set of users, or you want to calculate some kind of invoice, that okay, this amount plus this amount plus some other amount, and then so on and so forth. You want to actually get into some kind of operation. That particular set of things can be done using the arithmetic operations in JavaScript, okay. So arithmetic operations and logical operations, okay. So arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and the remainder operation is this modulus, okay. So let's say if you want to get the remainder of 5 modulus 2, the remainder is 1. So these are basically the things that we do, okay. And most of the use of this arithmetic, remainder, assignment operators, and other set of operators comes into picture when we talk about the server side scripting of JavaScript, okay. So in the next video, we will be seeing that, okay, how can we create a server side script and execute it in the in an environment, okay. This is all for this video. I see you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day. Hi guys, welcome to another video on JavaScript. So in the previous video, what we did was we executed and understood that, okay, what are the client-side JavaScript operations that we can do, and there are many more operations that you can play around with, but it all depends on the kind of requirements that you have. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is the server-side JavaScript. Okay, so for the server-side JavaScript, the first thing that you need to do is go on to the browser, type Node.js download, okay, be it a Windows machine or a Ubuntu machine or or a Mac installer, you can just simply download the installer file from here, okay, and then it will start the installation, and then you will be able to install a Node.js over your system. Okay, Node.js is another JavaScript, source code builder, and that will basically give you an authority of how you can execute a bunch of operations over JavaScript, and give you a feel of a server-side JavaScript scripting. Okay, so all of the scripting and all of the execution is being done in a Node.js environment. Cool. So so I have installed it in my system, and here if I just open a new shell for myself, a new shell. So here, as you can see, I'll just type node. So here I am inside the Node.js server. Okay, cool. So now I'm inside. So let's navigate to where we are working currently. So documents, Infinity, JS. So we are inside this particular file. Let's go to the JS file again. Okay, and let's create a new JavaScript file, but this time instead of script.js we will call it app.js. Okay, and why are we calling this as app.js is because we need to execute some of the server side part. Okay, and the server side is what? An app. Okay, so here if I just create a new variable a and assign it as 10, okay, and then do a console.log, so similar set of operations, but with a different way of execution. Okay, so here if I do a node and app.js, so here as you can see I can see the output as 10. Okay, I can just simply say the things that we usually do, hello world. Okay, go back, execute this, and as you can see we have the output as hello world. So this is a look and feel of how the server side application behaves and how we execute all of those steps. Okay, so without wasting more time, let's understand and implement more and more operations over the JavaScript side of things. Okay, so I've just copied all of the code over here. Okay, so here we'll define a new okay, shipping fee is already defined. Mm. No, it's not. So maybe it's a const. Okay, so shipping fee you can take it as a constant. Okay, perfect. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add two numbers, 10 plus 20. Okay, and print the console log sum, and the output should be 30. Okay, so I'll just make a print as well here. So sum of two numbers. Okay, and I'll just hit plus to it. Okay, so this is basically a string that you can put in, or a number that you can basically put in. Okay, the next thing, if let's say if you're talking about the business and you want to add, you have a net price and you have a shipping price, and you want to add both of the price into see the gross price, you will be doing a console log and saying this is the gross price, and then you are going to showcase that. Okay, the next thing is result. Okay, so so here you are basically subtracting it, so subtracting the results. Okay, the next thing is the multiplication side of things, multiplication. Okay, and the last part is the division. Okay, so all of the arithmetic operations is something that we are seeing over this particular uh, unit. Okay, cool. So we have the result and we are defining it again and again. So let's make it as result, and then result 1. Let's name it as result 1. Okay, and then result 2. Let's print result 1, and then let's print result 2. Okay, now all of the errors are gone. And as you can see, you cannot initialize two variable with the same name, and you cannot initialize a variable again and again. So now if I go here, I put node app.js. So here, as you can see, I can see hello world, the sum of two numbers, the gross price, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So all of those information, all of the arithmetic operation can be seen over this particular site. All right, cool. So let's quickly move towards the next set of next set of operations is the remainder operation. If you want to do, a modulus of it, okay. So you can just put it over here, okay. So modulus means 5 divided by 2. It leaves the remainder as 1, so it will show this, and then you can just add counter, okay, increment, decrement, okay. So we will just initialize a counter, and then we will call it one by one. So every time this is called, a new number is being generated, okay. The last set of operations that we want to talk about would be greater than and less than, okay. So let's say if you have some kind of condition that, okay, if the number is greater than this, then do this set of operation, otherwise print this, okay. So let's actually do it in the index.html, just to have a bit more interaction with it, okay. So here, let's say if someone has placed some kind of value, okay, this is the value, and let's create a new variable, okay, and we will put it as a values to this, okay. So someone has placed some kind of input, and we have put it inside the values variable, okay. Now we want to check if uh, you know values mod 2 is equal to 0, okay. So double equal to means that it's a comparing operation, okay. And this time we're gonna set the value to odd or even, okay. We will see this particular value, we'll just put the value as odd, okay. If it is equal to 0, then it is even number, else it is a odd number, okay. So this is something that you want to display over our uh, you know I would say the the uh, the heading 3 that we have created, I would say, okay. This is the function, this is the input, we take the values, we check with the remainder operation, with the modulus operation, if it is divisible by 2 or not. If it is equal to 0, then we put the value as even, otherwise the value as odd, okay. So we go back to our browser, okay, hit a refresh over it, okay, put a value 23, check it, it's an odd value, put a value 26, it's an even number, okay. So this is basically another set of operations, and see, we have make it that how we have made it a very dynamic, in a very dynamic way. Cool. So this is all about the operators, and the next thing that we're going to talk about is the control flow statement, which we have already talked about. We have seen that if the condition 1 is true, then execute the line of code underneath it. So this is the if condition, okay. If this is true, then this particular code is executed, otherwise the other set of code is executed, okay. So you can make it nested if else as well. So else, and then you can just put if again, and then you can just check it, okay, if the values is you know some any kind of operation that you want to do, so you can just make it nested as well, okay. But the main operation is, this is a control statement, and this is basically how it works, okay. The next set of control statement is the switch case, which is used very rarely in this particular industry. But let's actually see that, okay. What let's copy this particular code, and let's change this, and let's not change this as of now. We'll put this full statement as this. Okay, so there are 7 days in a week. Okay, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday till Saturday. Okay, and then if there's another day, so we will mark that, okay, this is not the correct value of day that you're looking for. Okay, cool. So I'll just comment out this code. So this double forward slash comments out the JavaScript code. So I put the day, I make a switch. Okay, so switch case means it will check if the value of day, okay, if the value is 1, it will print Sunday, the value is 2, it will print Monday, so on and so forth. And if the value is anything other than 7, okay, anything greater than 7, lower than 7 or whatever, okay, the value is being changed, and then it will display the day name in as invalid day. Okay, because this is not a valid day. This is basically how the conditions are set whenever we talk about uh, a very advanced, I would say, let's say if you put some kind of email ID and it match your the way that it has to be put in, so it will not show an error message, otherwise it will show an error message like this. Okay, perfect. So I'll just put the day as 1, and it shows that invalid day. Okay. Input ID, let's see what's inside the console log. Log day, hit refresh, put value 2, try it. It is 2 only. Oh, it's not picking up the switch case. Type is number. So if you want to take the type of, you just type the want to take that what kind of type is a day, and I'm sure it's a number. I'll just put 3. It's a string format. Okay, so we need to convert this into a integer. Okay, so whenever we pass the day, so what we'll do is day equal to uh you know day dot I would say integer, I capital integers. Okay, let's actually search Google for that. Convert string to int in JS. Okay, so basically this is how you convert you basically see that, okay, if you want to change some of the values, or if you want to debug that, okay, my code is not working fine, so you just go ahead to the Google and search for the values like this. Okay, just type in JS in the end, and then you will be able to get what you want. Okay, so I'll just hit refresh, hit 4, try it, it's a Wednesday, hit 5, it's a Thursday, and if I hit 99, it's an invalid day. Okay, perfect. So this is how you debug the code. This is how you can pass and change the value from string to integer, and there are a lot of capabilities that we can execute. And this is why I have shown you that, okay, how I have debugged the code, because this is something that we all coders have to learn. Okay, perfect. This is all for this video. I see you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.
Hi guys, welcome to another video on ReactJS. Okay, so in the previous video we have understood the JavaScript library. Okay, and in this particular video, let's create a new slide and open a slideshow from here. Take a pen and let's understand what is ReactJS. Okay, what is ReactJS? Okay, So React.js is basically a library of JavaScript. Okay, so it's a JavaScript like framework, I would say. Okay, in which so let's say if you have a web page, okay, usually a web page like this, okay, which let's say if we talk about Amazon, okay, so Amazon have this top name bar in which there's a logo, okay, there's a search button, there's a orders, and there's a profile, okay, this is the profile side, okay. So inside that it have a some kind of slider which is running, which is showcasing the latest offers, okay. In this you have the products, one by one listed out, the top product, the top discounted products, okay. In this particular section you have different set of things, more products, okay, more offers, bank ads, okay. So this is like an SBI ad, this is some phone ad or iPhone ad. So all of that is basically being displayed on a single web page. So in a single page, okay, a lot of information is being loaded, okay. There's a separate section for the logo, there's a separate section for search, so a separate search team is working on it. There's a separate section for orders, okay. There's a separate section for profile, this is profile, okay. So all of that information is being placed in a single page, okay. Now what React.js does is it basically breaks this particular page into small components, okay. We call it components, okay. So we basically break the page into small units, and each unit we call it as a component, okay, a UI component, okay. So that component, so one of the component is just creating the logo, it's just displaying the logo information. The next one is taking care of the search bar, okay. The next one is taking care of the orders section, okay, orders section. The next one is taking care of what, a profile, okay. So all of that is being divided into, this is one component, this is second component, this is third component, this is fourth component, and a single web page can have like thousands and thousands of components, all of which is rendered together, okay. And hence it increases the speed of the loading of the page, of loading that kind of advanced information, okay. So we will have a like advanced information, okay. It will have what I would say images, okay. It will have audio, okay. It will have sliders. So all of those information is basically kept together and it is displayed together. The major advantage that this particular component based architecture gives us is, if anyone, let's say C4 fails, okay, let's say C4 fails, which is like in terms of Amazon like company, yeah, it is very rare. But if for a small company any one of the component fails, you know then the whole page is not down. Otherwise what happens is you will see an internal server error, and then you must have seen like the page is loaded, and you get a lot of errors and internal server error, and 404 not found. So all of that kind of errors will pop up, okay. But here, if a single component is not running, only that particular component will be failed. Otherwise the rest of the component will load seamlessly, okay. Another advantage that we have is, let's say if this particular component is taking so much time, a lot of parallelism is achieved, a lot of less load is given to the browser, because browser works on a sequential fashion, okay. So it will load this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this, okay. Now if, let's say, if this is divided into multiple components, the browser, all of the code which is compiled in React.js is being I would say designed in such a way, it is compiled in such a way that it is very much compatible with browser, and a lot of parallelism can be achieved using it, okay, using a component based architecture. And the code will also be cleaner, okay. So let's say if you have this particular page and then you put everything in index.html, okay, index .html, and the another thing that we call it. So let's say if you click on this particular product, it goes on to the next page. Okay, so that kind of indexing, and putting all of the pages together, displaying different views together, and rendering, and making the transition from one page to another. So web currently is has reached to a totally different level, and the kind of capability that it has is totally different, and the amount of features that people expect from the web page is huge, right? So catering all of those features, catering all of those applications together basically helps us in creating a page like this. Okay, it basically helps us to create a page like this. Cool. Perfect. So this is what React.js is. It is a component based, easy to use, interactive, and fault, I would say, fault bearable kind of developing a website way. Okay, and all of that is made possible if we combine both. Okay, I'll just pen again. Okay, here all of this is made possible if we combine both Java script plus HTML together in a .j JavaScript extension file. So it creates a new file which combines both HTML and the JavaScript component together, and it creates a new JSX file which is responsible for creating the web pages, which is responsible of integrating, I would say, the website component, the HTML component, and the JavaScript computation together, and then rendering both of the information together in the form of a component. All of that is made cleaner, it makes efficient with this JSX manner. Okay, perfect. So this is all an introduction about the React.js. In the next video, we will be talking a bit more about this particular component and how we can actually modify the information, how we can add and remove more information, how can we start a React.js application. All of that particular techniques will be studied in the next video. Okay, I hope you understood till this particular point. I see you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.
Hi guys, welcome to another video on React.js. So in the previous video, we have made ourselves comfortable with what is a React.js application and how does it look like. And in this particular video, we will be talking more about the same application, and we will see that okay, how can we actually add more features to it? How can we actually create a new React.js application and implement some of the features in it? Okay, in this particular video we will cover a quick overview. Okay, and so React.js is like easy to understand. It's a cross platform support. So cross platform support means it is supported in different browsers, different types of browser. I would say it is supported in Internet Explorer, it is supported in uh, you know what you call it, Chrome, Firefox, all of that particular part. Okay, so what happens is, what like why do we call it like cross platform support, is because the JavaScript is changing like in a very fast manner. Okay, so JavaScript is changing every day. Okay, so let me go here. Every day. Okay, but the browsers are not changing, right? The browsers are not changing. Okay, and every change that JavaScript brings in makes it a bit more, I would say, faster to develop and to execute. It makes it more, I would say, simpler. Okay, simpler, less line of code, and a lot of features. Okay, so that is why the JavaScript developers keep on improvising on this every day. Okay, but the browsers are not changing. That's the main thing, that the browser can compile the JavaScript, right? Browser only understand Java script. Okay, they does not understand React, they does not understand any other language. But the thing is, the browsers support only a limited set of JavaScript components, which is like core. Okay, so there's a need to compile the JavaScript, the latest JavaScript code in such a way that it can be utilized simply and efficiently by every other platform. Okay, so React uses a compiler, okay, which basically optimize the JavaScript code that we have written, and it renders the code in the browser and in a very efficient way. Okay, fantastic community. So it's like, the community of React.js developers are very popular, and they are being very appreciated in different domains. Okay, it's the most loved library. It is very popular because of the component based architecture. Okay, so let's understand a bit more about the based architecture. Okay, so JS is a component based front end library, which means all parts of the web application is divided into small components. A component is a small piece of user interface. Okay, components let you split the UI into dependent reusable parts, so that when you are uh, uh, building an application with React, you'll build independent and reusable component, and then you will be able to combine it in a full-fledged web application. Okay, now what is this reusable part? Okay, now here if I quickly open this amazon.in, okay, and I go on this particular keyboard. Okay, so we can see that just focus on some other. So this particular section have the image. Okay, this particular have more images. This is the description. Okay, and this is basically the price. Okay, this is the more information. This is the offer, so on and so forth. Description, more about the item, all so on and so forth. So this is basically a page. Okay, now if I open some other set of article, okay, let's say if I go back, and this time I open this shampoo. Okay, okay, if I open this particular shampoo, the information is displayed in the same way, right? It has the same image, it has more products like this, it has a description, it have all of that information in a same way. Now why is that? Because this has been divided into reusable components. Okay, we just change the image, we just change the description, we just change the price, we just change another set of things from the database, and once we change everything, we get a new product listed out, and we are reusing the same component. Okay, so this is what a reusable means. So this, it has a container, logo, navigation, content, white space, and footer. Okay, so we have a footer as well. We, like, all of that is a reusable. Even if you go to YouTube, even if you open any kind of things, all of that is basically done, I would say, using a reusable component. Okay, cool. So there are two types of components. One is functional and other is class based. Okay, so so you can create, so like two types of components means like how can you create a new component. Okay, so here as you can see, you will just start with import React component from React. Okay, and here you will initialize it like a class. Okay, so why a class concept is because many of the developers, many of the people who have been coding from quite some time are familiar with with the object oriented programming. So this is a class based example. Okay, the next one is a functional component, which is a function based. So this is basically a lambda function. This is a new age of creating a function. So this is basically how we create a function, and then we render both of this into into this particular HTML. So here as you can see, we can see an HTML code. Here you can see inside a JavaScript, we know a constant, right? In constant we have a constant is a JavaScript terminology. In the constant we have a keyword, and then we are returning what? We are returning HTML. Okay, so this is basically what is the capability of React.js, that it combines both JavaScript and the you know the other set of features, both the JavaScript and the HTML together, and it is known as the JSX. Okay, cool. The first thing that you're gonna do is go ahead and search for Node.js download. Okay, you hit in download, and based on the whatever processor you have, Windows, Mac, or another one, you just copy this, you just install this. Okay, then let's create a new terminal out of it. Okay, and let's see the node version. Okay, so here I'll just hit shell new window. Okay, and here I see node -v. So here it shows me that I have installed 16.15.1. Okay, so a node should be there. Okay, the next thing that you're gonna do is now create a React app. Okay, so to create a React app, we are basically using a create React app is a simple tool or a command line that generates the required files and folder to start a React application. Okay, so our main goal is to start a React application. So I'll just open, not this, I'll just open Visual Studio Code, go here, go to terminal. Okay, and I'll just close whatever is running over here. I'll just go back, and I'll just try to remove whatever has been created till now. Okay, so my React tab, let's move this to bin. Okay, perfect. So if I do a ls, I don't have any my React tab. Okay, cool. So I'll just open a terminal. So Visual Studio Code provides a good way of creating a terminal side of things as well. So npx, which is like node package manager extension, which is npx, create a React app, create -react -app, and then you will give a name of the React. So my first React JS. Okay, my first React JS is the name that I've given, and this will basically create a new folder, my first React JS, over here, and it will install all of the required libraries. So you don't have to worry about what all libraries does it need, what all things does it need. So all of that you don't need, and you don't need to understand all of that. You might need to when you even go into deeper, but since this is just an introductory side of things, we will not go too much deep inside what has to be done. Okay, and it will basically it will say that okay, you can run these set of commands. Okay, npm start, npm run build, npm test, so all of that. So I will do npm node package manager run, I would say start. Okay, okay, and this is, oh yeah, sorry. So I'm inside the JS file, right? I have to go inside this particular folder, and then I need to call npm run start. Okay, so this will start the React application, and here as you can see, it will automatically open up your default browser at port 3000, and here as you can see, we have created a app.js. Okay, so now this is all for this video. I would say in the next video I will give you a quick overview about this whole package. Okay, and we will understand different components of it, different sides of it, and we will try to edit and create more and more interactive web app using this. Okay, I hope you understood till this point. I see you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day. Hi guys, welcome to another video on react.js. Okay, so here as you can see, I have this particular folder created. Okay, just ignore all of this. Okay, I have this particular folder created. Okay, I'll just close the old one. Okay, I have a node module, public source, git ignore, package, and package.json. Okay, so package.json is basically where all of the libraries and all of the imports that you need is placed. Okay, so here as you can see, we have a React version 13.3, we have a user event version 13.5, React DOM, React script. So all of that is automatically created for us based on the application that we were using. Okay, the next thing is git ignore. So whatever things that you want to push inside the server and all of the things that you need do not have to be on the GitHub. So this is a default git ignore for that. There's a node modules which basically is responsible for installing everything. So like everything that you've installed in here is inside this particular node modules part. Okay, so everything is a local dependency, which means that this folder basically have all of the dependencies and all of the libraries that you need. Okay, then there is a public. Okay, so public means like the index.html. So this is a React type index.html that you see. Okay, this is the title. Okay, you need to enable JavaScript to run this app. So all of that is basically a public. So you have a logo which is being displayed like that. Okay, you have a logo like this. You have, all of the roboto text. So all of that is basically comes under the source. Okay, and under the public. Okay, and now let's talk about the main area where we need to do all of the development and modification. So this is basically inside this particular source. So app.css, as it says, all of the CSS files that you can see over the app component. So this is just a single component as of now. Okay, this is whole a single component, and this is basically the name of the component. Okay, this is the CSS side of the component, and then you open the app.js. Okay, so here, as you can see, I have a function, a JavaScript function like this. Okay, and I am returning a HTML. Okay, so see how simple it is, that instead of writing and creating an index.html, you just simply return the HTML code that you want to see. Okay, now let's actually change whatever is inside it, and I will show you another capability of it. Okay, all right. So the nice thing that I'm going to show you is, I'll just remove the image, I'll just hit save, and instead of me refreshing it, the application has already refreshed by itself and the image is gone. Okay, now if I just add whatever. Okay, and this is not yet updated. Okay, and as soon as I hit save, so as you can see, the new content is updated. Okay, so it gives you a very interactive way of developing your application, that you don't have to go back and forth with a lot of other set of things. You just have to create a small React application, and then just say hello, welcome to the React application. Okay, and I just hit save, and it says hello, welcome to React application, and not just in the HTML side of things. And now if I want to change the background color to I would say FFF, okay, to white. So here, as you can see, the background color is white. If I want to make it what somewhere around black, I hit save, the background color is black. Okay, so not even just till the JavaScript side of things or the HTML side of things, we can also, whatever we modify over the CSS side of things, it is auto updated in that as well. Okay, cool. So this was an high level overview of how the React application looks like. Now let's play around inside it and see that, okay, how we can actually make some of the changes and add and remove some of the files to it. Okay, cool. So inside the source there's index.js. Okay, so let's open index.js as well. Okay, so there's index.js. So this is basically our root directory. Okay, and this is basically called as app. Okay, as you can see, there's a selector called app, and we have imported app from this particular file. Okay, so here, as you can see, it's a functional component. Okay, and here we are using this as an app. Okay, now let's create another component. Let's create a new file called let's say footer. Okay, footer.js. Okay, and here we create a new uh, you know we just copy this, paste it over here, make it as footer. Okay, and we change the name as okay, so wherever so another difference that you can see over here is, instead of class, there's a class name. Okay, so class name you can map it like over here, so app header and all of that. So this is a bit different from what we used to do. Okay, I mean in the other ones. Okay, so hello, we'll just put it hello, this is footer. Okay, So here all of the components are being registered. So here I'll import footer from, I'll just put here, and I'll just import footer from the JavaScript file as footer. Okay, and I'll just copy this, create this, and I'll just close this one, and I'll go back here. Okay, app is not defined in footer. So this is basically another way of how you can actually see the error. So here app is not defined. All right, so it says app is not defined. Oh, export default footer. Okay, so we need to, like, whatever we are creating, we need to export it as well, right? So welcome to the React application, and you know, here if you want to see it, hello, welcome to React application, and hmm, footer. Let's create a footer instead of a header. Oh, okay. This is the footer. Cool. So both of the components are being loaded like this, and as you can see, this is one of the component, and this is another component. Okay. Perfect. So this is basically how you can just break out all of your application, and then you can just simply break it into small components, and play around with it. Okay. Perfect. So so we have seen the index.js wherein you can register all of your components. Okay. So this is the strict mode, and this is the first component. This is the second component, and you can just hit a create node and get element by root, and then root.render. So you just render all of the application. So you don't have to go too much into detail about that one. You should start with creating a components. You should start with modifying some of the features to it, and then eventually move towards the other set of things. Okay. We have seen the app.js. We have seen that, okay, how we have rendered a JavaScript application like this. So we are returning some of the application. We are returning the I would say the HTML side of things, and then we have an app function like this. Okay. Now let's explore the JSX even further in the next set of video, and I hope this is a good understanding for React now, React till now. I see you in the next video wherein we play around with JSX and we explore more on the React side of things. Thank you and have a nice day. Hi guys, welcome to another video on React JS implementation. So in the previous video, what we did was we explored the JSX side of things, okay? And now, since we have completed and we have understood that, okay, how can we create a new component in it? Let's explore the JSX even more, okay? Cool. So let's copy this particular side, okay? And let's paste this into a Visual Studio Code interface, okay? So I will just remove the footer because this was just for the demo purposes. We'll just have the app with us, and then we will be just putting in the name and the things like this. Okay, so yeah, let me just remove this, open this. Okay, we're not sure what this is. I'll just go control H, control, I would say find and replace. Mhm. Copy this, edit, replace. Okay, find this and replace with nothing. Okay, replace with just this. Okay, replace all, entered. Okay, just to fix this particular side, I'll just find this and replace with nothing. Okay, cool. Now all of the pointers have been removed, all of the special characters have been removed. So let's quickly start running this. Okay, what is that? Cool. And let's try to understand that. Okay, what is this particular side of things? I'm not sure why this is here again. All right, this is here, and cool. Parsing adjacent. Okay, so what we have done over here is we have created a constant. Okay, and from that we are returning this particular div, this particular hello world, and then this particular this particular question mark is basically a an if else loop. Okay, so here uh, okay, so we will check on that later. Okay, so let's see this. Okay, so is name showing? Okay, is name showing is basically true and false. Okay, so here it is false, so is name showing, then the name which is here. Okay, and otherwise someone. Okay, so is name showing name, otherwise someone. Okay, and the next I would say the condition that we have is like name, and then we put a an icon like this, just to create a separator. Okay, okay, and then we will put another item like this. Okay, so we have started this particular segment. Okay, and then we are ending it over here. Okay, so we have started over here, ending it over here. Sorry about that. I'll just remove this. Yeah, so we'll just end this tag over here, just the empty tags, I would say. Okay, I'll just start this and we will end it over here. Okay, perfect. So what this particular thing is doing, let's see that. Okay, and how we have placed and included both JavaScript and React together in a JSX file. Okay, so here inside this particular component, before the return statement, so previously it was just return statement. So here, as you can see in the footer, we just have the return statement. Okay, now before we have the return statement, we have showcased and we have created this particular constant named John, and is name showing is false. Okay, so hello, and then there's a condition. So inside the curly braces, we specify the condition. Okay, we specify the JavaScript thing that we want to write. Okay, so here is name showing is false, so the second part will come up. Okay, if it is true, the first part will come up. Okay, and if there's a name, then the heading would be the name. Okay, and otherwise test, there is no name. Okay, so I'll just do this. I'll go over here. I'll go inside the React app. So hello someone, and then the John. Okay, so if the name is there, right? If the name is set to what, undefined, okay, so yeah, there is no name. Okay, so first the test is, so it's like a JavaScript code inside a I would say a JavaScript code inside a HTML file, right? So hello, this is John, and if I mark it as true, okay, let's mark this as true, and here hello John, John. Okay, so this is another capability that, okay, we can write both the JavaScript and the HTML inside the same tag. Okay, perfect. So the next thing that we're gonna try out is okay, is the another set of things. So this is basically the JSX. So here we can see that we can put a JavaScript code without the script tag, and we can just put it inside a curly braces, and then that particular code is basically known as a JSX. Okay, the highlighted one is called as a JSX. So you can see that we have wrapped both h1 and h2 tag inside this particular tag. That's because the JSX can only return the code in the form of a fragments. Okay, so whenever you hit a return statement, that code has to be inside some kind of div or inside some kind of tags. Okay, that is why it is this particular segment have been tagged in terms of a tag, because we cannot just place the code like this. We have to bind it in a certain way. Okay, perfect. So this is all for the exploring the JSX side of things. Okay, and now let's actually create another component and showcase more components like this. Okay, so here I will try to create another component. Okay, or let's copy whole of it. Okay, I'll not this. So okay, let's just copy this particular segment. Okay, and here before the app, let's create another component. So previously the another component we created in a new file. This time we will not create it in a new file. We will just create it in this particular format. Okay, so here last name 30, sorry, last name Doe. So John Doe, and then age as 13. Okay, so this is one of the component that you can see. Okay, so let's say if there's a component which have some border, some padding, margin, and all of that, so we basically have placed it over here. Okay, now we want to display the same set of information again and again. Okay, in a different set of way. So here I'll just remove whatever is inside this particular part, and then I will just include this particular component person three times, 1 2 3. Okay, I'll just hit save, and now if I go inside my React app, so here as you can see, the name, last name is being displayed three times. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, that instead of having multiple parts, okay, of the application and then load the data differently, we can just simply write the things like this. Okay, we can just simply write the things like this, and then we can just simply display it out over the browser screen. Cool. This is all for this particular video. I see in the next video wherein we talk more about the React component, and we will see a very exciting and the way that how fast the component is being loaded inside a React application. Okay, this is all for this video. I see you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day. Hi guys, welcome to another video on React JS application. So in the previous video, we have seen the capability of the React application, and now we will introduce a new concept called state. Okay, so state is basically a kind of a variable, okay, which is an auto updating variable, okay, in which as soon as you put the value, the name of the value, name of that particular uh, variable is being updated. Okay, state in React is a plain JavaScript object which is used by React to represent a piece of information about the component's current situation. So what is the current situation means? Current value and current values that that component holds. Okay, so let's say if you're in Amazon right now and you basically search for that particular product, okay, you apply the coupons and then you hit next, so that all of the information that you have placed in should be coming up in the next page as well. So all of that information is being stored in a React state. So React state object is where you store the property of the values that belongs to the component, and when the state object changes, the components re-renders. So that whole, like as soon as the state component changes, that particular component re-renders. Okay, so let's create an app, and let's create a constant here. Okay, and we first need to, okay, so let's just copy all of it. Okay, all right, so I just remove this, paste this one, and I hate when this pops up. I'll just do a control shift find. No, sorry, not this. Okay, okay, so I'm here. I'll just copy this. I'll do edit, replace. Okay, whenever we find this, okay, replace it with nothing, replace all. Okay, okay, replace all of that. Okay, cool. So it is replaced now. Cool. So here what we're doing is we are creating a new we have basically imported use state. Okay, and here we have initialized a counter, set counter. Okay, set counter is basically the type of that particular counter, and then we basically have a counter and a function, and then we say the use state as 0. So it starts as 0. Okay, so here we render an application. Okay, so we button on click set counter previous counter equal. So this is a unnamed function. Okay, so it gets a value and it decrements that particular counter. Okay, with this particular button, and then we will see the value of counter over here. And then if there's a button click like this, set counter, it again have this unnamed function. So this is the argument that it is taking, and it is the value. It is incrementing and it is decrementing. Okay, and here it is displaying the counter information. Okay, so why are we doing this? Is because we want to see that, okay, how the value increases and decreases. So as you can see, the plus, and here if we do minus. Okay, so the counter value is updating and getting deleted as we basically call this particular button. Okay, so this particular value of counter is being hooked. Okay, and here it is basically calling the set counter. Okay, and then we were able to update the value of this particular counter as we go ahead. Okay, another thing that I want to show you, I'll just pause this video for 2 minutes just to get that particular code. And once I have that code, I'll unpause and I will showcase that, okay, how quickly the component re-renders. Okay. All right. So what I've done over here is I have used the exact same method. Okay. Instead of the name, I am using the constant message, and then I'm passing in the set message, and here I'm using useState as nothing. So okay, so instead of 0, I'm just putting nothing. Okay, and then I have made another at event. Okay, I made an event called handle change. Okay, so whenever there's a change, I will basically call this set method, set message function, and event.target.value. So okay, I will just get the value and I will just showcase that kind of value. Okay, and now I have created a div, and inside the div I have placed an input with a type text, id message, name message, and on change I'm just putting in this, and then value as message. So the message that was a state message, and here it is the message over here. Okay, so now what happens is, so let me just go to the browser. So this is basically my input field that I've created. Okay, and I want to showcase you that how quickly the the component renders. So all of this is a single component, right? And this particular input field is linked with this state, okay, called message. This is a state, right? This is state, and here I am displaying this particular state in a curly bracket. Okay, so this is another state. Okay, and as soon as I hit hi, how are you, so you can see that as soon as I hit any key, okay, whatever I type and how quickly I type, it doesn't matter, because it takes everything and it re-renders the component as quickly as you can see that. and as I am updating this particular field, I am deleting everything, I'm putting whatever it is, so the component is getting re-rendered again and again. So see how quick it is. How so that kind of function, if I need to do it on the JavaScript side of things, what all things do I need to do? I need to create a button, I need to create on change, I need to create on hit. So and as soon as I just hit keys, I need to write a lot of code. But here in the React, I can just do it in what this input field is being divided into, like, this is one line, this is two line, like hardly 4 or 5 lines. I was able to manage this particular code. Okay, and this basically showcases the capability of React on how quickly the things get rendered, on how quickly we can actually post new things. Okay, how quickly we can render and use a lot of segments like this, and I'm gonna place this part inside my uh, you know inside the notebook that we were working on. Okay, cool. So I think this is it for this particular video. In the this is all about the React series as well. And I hope you have understood this particular series, because this is a very important series which covers a lot of information about the JavaScript, about the React, about a lot of things that you can do, and what this JavaScript and the programming language like this are capable of doing. It is basically doing that. Okay, and I would say just play around a lot with this particular segments, just play around a lot with all of the, I would say, the capability. Okay, and I'm sure that you will be able to get along a lot with the React JS in terms of the front end technology, and there's a lot more to it. Okay, I hope to get to bring more and more things to you in future as well, and I hope you understood till this point. I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for watching till this particular point. All the best. Bye bye.